How's it going, Cosmos? How's it going, wine snobs, wine fans, wine drinkers everywhere? Usually I go pre-recorded, but today I decided I'd come at you live. So today I'm going to feature a wine called Arcats-Catelli. This wine comes from one of my favorite wineries in Northeast Ohio. With this show, I try to promote the wineries of Northeast Ohio as much as I can. So for this episode, I'm going to be primarily talking about wines from other parts of the world. So the one that I'm going to be drinking on is from Northeast Ohio. This is M. Cellars Arcats-Catelli. It looks delicious. You got to do the swirl. First, I like to check out the color. Just enjoy the color. It's got a really nice light yellow color to it. Very aromatic. Kind of fruity, coming off the nose a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting like some tart apple and like a little bit of peach, and it's kind of some spice at the end. Really good. This is good stuff. This is the first time I've ever had Arcats-Catelli. So I can tell you, first get out the big wine grapes book. Just for a real quick Arcats-Catelli. There we go. This guy. So Arcats-Catelli, the grapes are primarily grown in Georgia, the country of Georgia. That's where they originated anyways. They're grown all over that area, Romania, heavily in Ukraine. Ukraine grows, I think that's their biggest, they grow Arcats-Catelli more than any other grape up there. Gotta try some more of that, that was good. Ooh yeah. Alright, looks like Dana Ricker's watching, Tom Cheshire's watching, Gus Bow. I'm looking at you guys. I'm watching you watching me. This is a different kind of episode this time. Normally they're not live. Figured I'd talk to you guys a little bit. So if you want to talk, we'll talk. So, speaking of Arcats-Catelli, that grows in Ukraine, or I mentioned that it grows in Ukraine. I want to talk about 4 countries and their wine growing regions. I just have to figure out how to share my screen here real quick. Share screen. Okay. Does that work? Alright. So the wine growing regions in Ukraine, we got, of course, Crimea. There's a lot of grapes growing down there. Odessa, there was a lot happening there. You got Nikolaev. I'm going to butcher these names. You have to bear with me. Kherson, Zaporizhia, I think, and Zakarpattia. Doesn't look like it's sharing the screen. There, now. See if that worked. Can you see it now? Yeah, there we go. So there's Crimea, a lot of grapes growing down there, and then Odessa. There's 180 grape varieties in total being grown in Ukraine. Like I say, Arcatatelli is the one that they grow the most of. There's Zaporizhia up there. You got Kherson, Nikolaev, I'm butchering these, and Zakarpattia. Anyhow. What I'm going to say about that real quick. Probably going to share this. Okay. Germany. Okay. You have to bear with me. I wasn't prepared. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So, wine culture already existed in the 4th century BC on the south coast peninsula of Crimea. From this time, wine presses and the amphoria found. In the northern part, however, it only developed much later from the monks of the 11th century. Russia's 2014 invasion of Crimea, the major wine growing and producing region in Ukraine, has been a heavy blow to the industry. Ukraine lost more than half of its bottles of wine, mostly semi-sweet and dessert wines, but the loss of Crimea and the armed conflict ironically gave a giant push to the Western-style dry wines, especially in Transcarpathia and southern Odessa and Kherson regions. In 2015, Ukraine's production of dry wines has grown by 7 to 9% every year. Okay. Now, Ukraine consists of 3 major wine growing regions. This is by far the largest area in the southwest around the city of Odessa, with about 50% of the total area. Hungary and Romania adjacent Transcarpathian area, as well as the area south of the river Dnipro, near the cities of Kherson and I can't even pronounce that one. Anyhow, the continental climate is characterized by hot summers and severe winters. In 2019, 133 million liters of wine were produced from 41,000 hectares of vineyards. Like I say, almost 180 grape varieties are cultivated, including the majority of indigenous varieties grown here. Bessarabia. In 1788, after the conquest of Akakov, Prince Podomkin, assessing the contribution of the Cossacks to the overall victory, gave them lands between the Dniester and the Bug. Then the first information about the vineyards in Sloboda, Yaski, Gala. Okay. I'm going to skip over this part. There we go, that's what I meant to talk about. The Black Sea region is rightly considered one of the most ancient wine growing regions of Ukraine. Ancient Greece, in its first place evaluated, is favorable for viticultural relief. Flat winemaking allows, in the main, to grow table varieties and varieties suitable for production of ordinary wines. Even the ancient Romans believed that grapes grown on the inclined plane gave the best yield. The winter of Odessa, Mykolaiv, and part of Kherson is characterized by a mild winter, which is very important for the thermophilic vine. In particular, it is at the border of the northern Black Sea that is a border of invisible industrial culture. Warm and moderately humid autumn. Okay, let me do this again. Warm and moderately humid autumn contributes to the normal development and ripeness of grape berries, and the dry periods before the grape harvest allow for high quality grapes. Why was that so hard for me to read? Okay, so Ukraine's main wine producing regions include Odessa with 52,000 hectares of vineyards, Kherson has 20,000 hectares, Mykolaiv has 15,000 hectares, Transcarpathia 8,000 hectares, and Crimea, which doesn't say. Additionally, small vineyards are planted in other regions of Ukraine. The varietal diversity of grapes in Ukraine is represented by the internationally selected and several autochthonous varieties. Okay. So, the majority of the varieties you're going to find out of Ukraine, you're going to see Saperavi, Aligote, Arcatatelli, Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, and Riesling. There we go. I can see myself again. So, Ukraine, a lot of their grapes, like I said, that's a cold climate kind of an area. So that's why Ohio over here, we can also grow some of the same kind of grapes. The Cabernet Sauvignon we're doing over here. The Arcatatelli, obviously, I have right here. That same winery, M Cellars, they're also offering Saperavi, I believe. They just planted that recently, so that should be coming up soon. So that's we have that similar region, and then we also have a similar climate to Germany. So we'll move on to Germany. Share screen. Getting a little better at this. Okay. Germany. Alright, so you can see the wine regions of Germany here. It's all pretty much in the southern part that I've got highlighted here. We've got R, I guess, up there. They grow a lot of Pinot Noir, Furburgunder, Portugieser, and Riesling. Then you got the most famous region, the Mosel, over here along the river, famous for the Riesling. They've also got Müller, Thurgau, Ebling, Kerner, and Pinot Noir. We've got Nahe with their Riesling and Dornfelder. I'm not going to try to pronounce that one. Müller, Thurgau. Yeah. Rheinheisen, again with the Müller, Riesling, Sylvaner, and more Dornfelder. Pfalz, that's a very popular wine region right there, and that's got a lot of Riesling, Dornfelder, Portugieser, and the Müller. Over here, oh no, down here, Baden. That's got some Pinot Gris, Mueller, Pinot Blanc, Riesling, Pinot Noir, and Chasselas. Am I sharing this? Okay. And then Württemberg. It's got some Pinot Meunier, something I can't pronounce, Pinot Noir, Riesling, and Schaefer. Up here in Franken, we got some more Mueller, Sylvaner, Riesling, and Pinot Noir. Coming up here to Sachsen, they make a lot of Riesling and Mueller. Here in Hassesburg, okay, however you pronounce that, that's your Riesling, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Noir, and more Mueller. You got Rangau, I don't know, I'm butchering these names, I am. Riesling and Pinot Noir. You're seeing a common pattern here. The most commonly planted grapes, a lot of Riesling, a lot of Pinot Noir, a lot of Mueller. Here we go, up in Mittelrhein. Yeah, Riesling, Mueller, and Pinot Noir. And then finally the last one I haven't talked about was Saale Unstrut, however you pronounce that, Mueller and Pinot Blanc. So that's what's going on over there in Germany. Like I say, for Germany, it's a similar kind of temperature, similar kind of climate. So a lot of the Riesling and a lot of the Pinot Noir, we're also growing that over here in Ohio. I'll go ahead and share this as I'm reading it. Gotta find Germany. There it is. Germany. So Germany is known for its beer. As many as 13 as many as 13 wine-producing regions exist in the country. Some of these, apart from offering exquisite wines, are known for their breathtaking landscapes and delicious cuisines, making them perfect holiday destinations. Autumn is a great time to visit the wine regions in Germany, as it is the time when hundreds of wine festivals are hosted across the country. And again, the Mosel, being one of the most famous, produced in Germany, often boasts some of the steepest vineyards in the world. The wine trail flanked both banks of the Mosel River, is known for its slate-laden soils, and is luxuriously sun-drenched for long months, resulting in high levels of sugar in the grapes. The sweetness is balanced with the acidity and minerals resulting from the unique, crisp taste of the Mosel Rieslings, the most popular wine of the region. One of the most important wine-growing towns in this region is Bernkastel-Kues, which also has a wine museum. I'm not going to hit up every single one of these. Let's see. Mittelrhein, that has, let's see, the Mittelrhein region not only boasts some of the super flavorful, strongest white wines in the country, but also some of the prettiest landscapes, lush vineyards, wrapped hills crowned with ancient castles, and gorgeous views of the Rhine and the Mosel rivers. Yeah, should have skipped over that one. Looking for Pfalz. Home to the German Wine Road. The Pfalz region is one of the warmest regions in Germany, though dry and not hot. The second largest wine producer in Germany after Rheinhessen, the Pfalz boasts of approximately 6,800 vintners, different vineyards, The area produces delicious Riesling, Dornfelder, Müller-Thurgau, Blauer, Portugieser, and many other varieties of wine. But its specialty is Schorl, wine combined with sparkling water. The Hart Mountains, wrapped in the thick forests of Pfalzwald, half-timbered houses, great weather, and awesome river views considerably add to the appeal of the region. Okay, so Rheinhessen is Germany's biggest wine-producing region. The petroleum-tinged red soil of these 2,000-year-old vineyards imparts a mild flavor to the wines produced here. The Rheinheisen is known for, what is that, Liebfraumlich wine, as well as light red wines made from the Dornfelder grape. Travelers can also sample Great Riesling, Spätburgunder, which is Pinot Noir, and Portugieser here. This region is also known for delectable German foods and great views of seemingly endless vineyards, ensuring a relaxing, romantic holiday. Yes, yes. So that's what I got to say. There we go. Oop. There we go. That's what I got to say about Germany. I used to believe Gewürztraminer was the original wine from Germany. I think it's actually from Austria, or maybe Italy. I'm mixing up my knowledge here. But, Gewürztraminer is what we'll talk about in the next, well, as soon as I get to the wine trivia segment at the end of this. So let's take a look at the comments. Dana Ricker says, 10 years ago, what musician inspired you? Well, I guess I've always been very inspired by Pink Floyd. I love Tool and Perfect Circle. I also get into the grunge, the 90s grunge. I was into Days of the New pretty heavily for a while. But more recently, I've been getting into an artist called Reinhard Burr. He calls himself, what is it? Spontaneous improvisational music. He has a looper, and he ties about 7 to 14 different instruments into his looper, and he just creates a song on the spot. Says, do you ever look at raisins and think, what a waste? No. I love all products that grapes make. Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes they turn to grapes, or they turn to raisins before you can harvest them. You can still eat them. They're good. And you can actually still make wine with raisins. Talked to, well, the late Arnie Ester of Marco Vineyards. He made a late harvest out of wine. I believe it was either Riesling or Chardonnay, I can't remember, and it was mostly raisins. Very sweet wine. It was very delicious. Alright, so moving on with the wines of the world, we have to talk about one of the biggest wine regions, one of my favorite wine regions. As soon as I can share the screen here. There we go. Whoa, look at that. Okay. France. Gotta talk about France. This is by far my favorite wine region in the world. Mostly because of this section right in here. Wait, no. Over here. Here we go. This section, right there. The Bordeaux. That's where you get your Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Malbec. And all that gets blended together. In France, they name their wines after the regions. So if you buy a Burgundy, you're getting a wine from Burgundy over here. And if you get a Bordeaux, you're getting a wine from Bordeaux. All it is a mixture of all the grapes that they grow in that region, and they make a wine out of it. So Bordeaux, that's those 5 varieties, which taste delicious. Up here, closer to, you got the Mosel River up there. There's the Riesling and Gewürztraminer growing up here. Here's Champagne. So if anything you know about Champagne, you're not drinking Champagne grapes. you're drinking wine that comes from Champagne. And I believe it's Pinot Noir and Muscat, I believe, that they grow up there, that they make their Champagne with. Oh, and Sauvignon Blanc. Here is the Loire Valley, which they have a lot of Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Franc, Muscat. Let's see, we've got, I'm just going to list them all off here. Champagne, Loire Valley, Burgundy, Provence, Beolholias, I think. Is that pronounced right? Beolholias? The Rhone Valley, Languedoc, Roussillon, Bergerac, Cahors, Bordeaux, Alsace, Jura, and Savoy. Again, I'm probably butchering those pronunciations, but Semillon down here. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, you got your Mortevier, Cabernet Sauvignon, Greenwich. Yeah, that's all growing down in that way. You got Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, some Malbec growing down here in the south. Malbec, it's a little bit of a hotter climate grape, so you got to grow that down here, where you got your cooler climate Riesling and Gewürztraminers growing up here. France, very interesting. France has a unique soil. If I can find it here. So France was second only to Italy in 2019, accounting for 16% of the world's total wine production. French winemakers have a rich heritage of winemaking that dates back for centuries. While winemaking started out before the Roman conquest, it was the Romans who planted vines all over the renowned French wine regions that we know today. If you noticed, French wine is labeled by wine region or appellation rather than grape variety. You also come across a great variety of terroirs and climates as well. So during the Middle Ages, Benedictine monks in Burgundy noticed different microclimates, soil conditions, and vineyard elevations and winemaking techniques could create unique tasting wines. So France's notion of terroir was born. Terroir is the land. So they believe that the soil itself helps flavor the grapes. It gives the grapes the flavors that you taste in the wine eventually. There we go. The diversity of the French wines is due to the climates, geology, topography. Yeah, the Champagne has a cool climate up in the north. Rhone Valley, that's very warm and dry. Bordeaux in the southwest has the Mediterranean Sea right there and a temperate climate. Having any large body of water near is always going to help you. That's why up in Ohio we've got Lake Erie. And with Lake Erie, a lot of during the summertime, or during the daytime, the hot air from the land goes out towards the lake, and then at nighttime, the cool air comes back. So we've got Burgundy and Alsace in the east have warm summers and cold winters, and in the deep south, Provence and Languedoc-Roussillon are characterized by hot summers and mild winters. Apart from climate differences, France's wine regions have unique soil types and geological features that create unique characteristics for their wines. For example, Beolholias is filled with granite hills, while Chablis has chalky sloping terrain, and Medoc is predominantly gravel. It's one of the most important things about France with their winemaking is their unique soil. They have 11 dominant wine regions. Alright, the Gironde Estuary, a river, divides Bordeaux French wine region into two subregions. Everything on the west is known as the left bank, and everything on the east, like Saint Emilion, is known as the right bank. And this is in Bordeaux. So the left bank is more favorable for Cabernet Sauvignon grapes because of the higher gravel content. In contrast, the clay-rich soil and the harsher temperatures of the right bank are ideal for growing Merlot grapes. The grape varieties of white Bordeaux are primarily Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. Also has a little bit of muscat. Sauternes are distinctively flavored white Bordeaux sweet wines made from late ripening Semillon, Sauvignon Blanc grape, and Muscadel. There we go, Burgundy, or as the French call Bourgogne. In eastern France is a 100-mile area with a legacy of red wines, Pinot Noir. White Burgundy wines such as Chardonnay and Beaujolais has the Gamay grape. The smaller Jura wine region is also situated right next to Burgundy. The moderate climate and limestone soils in Burgundy work best for the high-maintenance Pinot Noir grapes. And let it express its full complexity. The terroir variations in Burgundy, Grand Crus, are easily reflected in these grapes, which is why you'll see so many nuanced variations of a Burgundy Pinot Noir. With complex flavors and crisp acidity, the white Burgundy wine is a Chardonnay lover's dream. The best whites in Burgundy come from Côte d'Or, meaning golden slope, in the south of Dijon, like famous for Dijon mustard. This wine-producing region is also famous for its Chablis, a type of light-bodied Chardonnay that ages in stainless steel tanks instead of oak. So the oak gives it a lot more like umami and some little vanilla flavor to it, but a lot more mouthfeel. And if you ferment it in a stainless steel tank, it'll be a lot less harsh with the oak, and it'll have a lot more fruit-forward flavors. So then we'll talk about Alsace. That's got the Grand Cru vineyards, which are characterized by unique microclimates, exposures, and geological blends. Alsace wines named after the grape varietal instead of the name place of origin. So this one is actually named after the grape Alsace. They are produced under 3K appellations: Alsace, Alsace Grand Cru for the still white wines, and Cremant d'Alsace for sparkling wines. The Riesling, Pinot Gris, and Gewürztraminer wines from Alsace wine region happens to be more affordable than any other French wine label. So, I was wrong. It's not Alsace grapes. That is the place of origin. Anyhow, Riesling, traditional Alsace Riesling, is dry, white wine with mineral nuances. The Pinot Gris, the volcanic and limestone in Alsace, provides the perfect canvas for growing Pinot Gris. These wines have a fuller body and a rich flavor profile. Yeah, that's that volcanic limestone soils that really make a big difference in how the grapes taste, which affects the wine beautifully. To the east of Paris lies Champagne, the northernmost wine region in France. It is divided into three areas: Montagne de Reims, the Côtes de Blancs, and Vallée de la Marne. I probably butchered those as well. Wineries here use a labor-intensive traditional technique called méthode champenoise, where wine is fermented twice in a bottle to make sparkling wines. So they'll ferment this wine once while it's in a tank, and that helps create the wine in the first place. Let's see, let me scroll down here real quick. Okay. So yeah, a champagne, it's fermented first of all to create the alcohol, turn it into a wine in the first place, and then after it's aged for a little while and you like the taste of it, he will stick it in a bottle. But then what he'll end up doing is putting a little bit more sugar into it, I believe a small amount of yeast, and then you bottle it off and you put you know, the stoppers on there so that it doesn't fly off, because what's going to happen, that fermentation is going to kick off again a second time in the bottle, and that's going to create more carbon dioxide, because what happens when yeast eats sugar, it converts sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. So that's what creates all those bubbles in the sparkling wine, and that's why it's so pressurized when you open the bottle and the cork goes flying. Syrah. Northern Rhone is most synonymous with the Syrah grapes that find their smokiest, meatiest expression on the hillsides here. Syrah grapes also grow here in Ohio. They've got Greenwich Syrah Mortivier blends, GSM blends. Southern Rhone is nearly 10 times bigger than the Northern Rhone Valley and is all about the GSM blends. Okay. And then the Greenwich blends, fortified sweet wines made from Greenwich blends in the Roussillon. They're quite popular. You've got the Loire Valley, nestled in the northwest part of France. Loire Valley produces white wines like Sancerre, Vouvray, Pouilly Fumé, and Muscadet, made from the Melon de Bourgogne grapes. Loire Valley's wines come in a variety of styles, from dry to sweet, lighter, and sparkling. Okay. There we go. Back to the face. Sorry about that. I don't know if you want to read what I'm reading or try and watch me while I'm reading it. I don't like looking at my face most of the time, so. Cheers. Anybody drinking any wine tonight? Let's see, check the comments. M says, if you could go anywhere in the world to visit a vineyard, where would you go? That's a tough one. I know there's some vineyards in Switzerland, and Switzerland's always been the top of my list to go to, although mostly just to see the mountains. I think if I wanted to go see a wine producing region, I'd have to say France. I'd probably go to Bordeaux, the Bordeaux region. That's got to be the spot that I would want to go. And Italy as well. It'd be a toss-up between the two. Which brings me to Italy. Share. Okay. I like doing that. Woo. Okay, here we go. So, Italy. The wine regions in Italy. We've got Lombardy up here, that little tiny little spot right there. We got Piedmont, Tuscany. They make there's a lot of popular wines from there. You got the Umbrelazio down here, Campania. Over here on the island, you got Sardegna. Down here, Sicilia, Calabria, Puglia. Up here there's Marche Abruzzo, and then Emilia Romagna, and then Trentino Alto Adige, and then finally Veneto. So those are the wine growing regions in Italy. Let's see. I think I'm going to let you guys look at my face while I'm reading this, instead of showing you the text. Okay. Let me just find Italy real quick. Okay, Italy produces a huge amount of table wine, vermouth, and cooking wines, such as Marsala. That being said, there are 3 major regions that produce high-quality table wines, and they are Veneto, Tuscany, and Piedmont. Veneto is known for the Valpolicella region. Valpolicella? Which is known for producing Amarone d'Ella. and Valpolis. Okay, whatever. Trying to pronounce these. Besides the great red blends of Valpolicella, made from Corvina and Rondinella and Molinara, there are several fine Merlot-based wines in this area. For white wines, Garganega is the white grape that makes Soave, a wine that is rich like Chardonnay. Tuscany. Tuscany is home to the Chianti region, which is most famous for Sangiovese. Sangiovese became the required major grape in Chianti during the 1970s, and other noble grapes, Cab and Merlot, ended up creating a new style of wine, Super Tuscan. For white wines in this region, keep in mind that Trebbiano is Italy's most produced white grape, and Vermentino has quite a few taste similarities to Sauvignon Blanc. Piedmont. Here we go. Piedmont has Nebbiolo. It's a grape with high tannins and a pale color that has long been famous for its bristling acidity and high tannin. Besides just the great Nebbiolo wines of Barolo, the region also is home to Moscato d'Asti, very popular, and the underdog variety Dolcetto. Dolcetto, that's another one. When I worked at Ferrante's up here in Northeast Ohio, he grows some Dolcetto. That one does better. It's in Italy. It does better in a warmer climate. So he has a little bit of trouble with that one, but the good years that he has, that stuff is fantastic. We got Emilia Romagna. They have a lot of Lambrusco, which is long been thought of as a cheap, sweet, fruity wine. It's a lot of your Concord. Lombardy, they've got a lot of Pinot Nero and sparkling wines. Let's see. Yeah, Nebbiolo is the red wine produced here, but it's called Schiavenasca. Yeah, okay, something like that. It's lighter and more Pinot-like than its Piemontese sister. So Lombardy also produces some great Pinot Noir. They call it Pinot Nero, especially around the name of an Italian city. Old Treppo Pavese. I do horrible with these names. So they make a sparkling wine called Franciacorta, which is made with Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Blanc grapes in the same style as Champagne. Alright, Umbria. They've got a red varietal called Sagrantino, and people go crazy over it. In Montefalco, you'll find Sagrantino, but there's also a fair amount of strawberry-like Sangiovese in the region. The white grape variety here is called Grechetto. Alright. And lastly, I'm just going to talk about, where did it go? Puglia. Puglia has fruit-forward red wines that are great. Let's see. They're very affordable in the region with a great number of esoteric sweet wines. Nothing noteworthy. Okay, never mind. Oh, there we go. That's the one I wanted to talk about. Fruity Venezuela Guilia. Okay. Fruity Venezia Guilia. Let me drink some of this first. Okay, that's the wine producing region in Italy that I'm trying to pronounce. Known for several unique and more interesting, intensely flavored styles of Pinot Grigio, including Romano, and Sauvignon Blanc, with a slightly meaty undertone. The area also produces some very savvy, umami-tasting Merlot. Alright. And then the smallest wine region in Italy, Valle d'Aosta, in the Alps, producing some Pinot Noir Rosé and Petit Rouge, Petit Rouge, and Petit Arvin. That's what's going on up there. And in Basilicata, there is some Aglianico that is grown on the side of a volcano. So, yeah, again, volcanic soil is helping to affect how the wines taste. It affects the grapes, which ultimately affects the wines. All right. Show that off one more time. So that was the wine regions of France. There's France. Oh, no, that was Italy, sorry. Here's France. We got Germany. And then Ukraine. And wine grapes grow all over the world. There's a belt that runs around the world. Two belts, I should say. There's one in the northern hemisphere and one in the southern hemisphere. There's no grapes really growing on the equator. There's no grapes growing at the poles, but in the middle of the poles and the equator, you got two belts where it's perfect for wine grape growth. And that's all those countries are the countries that I'm going to try and talk about over the next couple more episodes. All I've got to do now is hit up the wine trivia. Last week I asked, what color wine is Gewürztraminer? A red or a white? And the answer is, it's a white. Gewürztraminer is a white wine. The next question for this week, what country in the world makes the most Pinot Noir? Tune in next week and I'll tell you. Let's see, let's check the comments one last time. Anybody talking? Oh boy, here we go. Can you send wine in the mail? There must be wine subscriptions. Yes. Oh well, I don't know if I can send wine per se, but wineries can ship wine. So if you go online to marcovineyards.com and you look up his Riesling or his Chardonnay or his Cabernet Sauvignon, you can order it and he'll ship it to you. And I think a lot of other wineries are doing that as well. So why are certain wines so sought after? I was at an estate auction once. Wow, the wine seller made some expensive wines. Yes, yes. So that's depending on how good the winemaker is, how long they've been around, you know, if they've established themselves as a very good winemaker and they've won awards. You know, there's competitions out in California. People can sell wine for an awful lot of money. You can get some wines as cheap as, like, I mean, I've bought wines for like $9 or $10, but then I've bought others, you know, a similar varietal done much better for about $50. So it's a big range, and you know, whether the winemaker spent the time to make it right and make a good quality wine, or if he's just, you know, pumping out tanks of wine he's got 70,000 gallons worth of wine for Sutter Home, and they're just pumping it. Sorry, I didn't. I'm not saying that they make bad wine. They make some okay wine, but you know, I just think the larger production companies, it comes a lot more like they're just trying to pump the stuff out rather than really trying to create a unique, wonderful, beautiful tasting wine. Okay. Lorraine asks, do you like cheese with your wine? Of course. That was how I got into wine in the first place. I didn't even like the dry wines. I only liked the sweet stuff. I was drinking a lot of Moscato, and I got a Zinfandel one time, a dry Zinfandel, and talking about all this wine, I need to drink some. So that Zinfandel, I pulled out some extra sharp cheddar cheese, and I think I was talking to my brother about the difference between Zinfandel and white Zinfandel, and a lot of people think of it as white Zinfandel, which is a lot more of a sweeter, like your wedding wine. But Zinfandel itself, the red wine, is a very dry wine. And so I poured some in a glass, and I was like, of course, if you're gonna have some of this, you gotta have some cheese while you're drinking your wine. So I took a piece of cheese, and I drank the wine, and I ate the cheese, and I drank the wine again. It's like, do I oddly like this? And the red, I'm saying, the Zinfandel. So I took another bite of the cheese, and it's like I was tasting it for the first time, even though I'd had it a whole bunch of times before, you know. This time, the last few times, it was all like dry leaves and just suck the life out, suck every drop of moisture out of your tongue. I just couldn't get anything off of it. So then a couple weeks later, I got it again with the cheese. Tried it again, and it's like my tongue, like my taste buds have changed or something, and all of a sudden I can taste fruity flavors. I'm like, what's all this fruit stuff? How come I can taste the fruit now and I couldn't taste it before? That's your tongue, your tastes truly do evolve over time. If you just keep trying to, if you don't like the dry stuff, if you keep trying it over time, you probably will develop a taste for it. At least that's what happened to me. Let's see. And I don't see any other questions. So make sure you check out Cosmos Creative TV on YouTube. If you're not already watching this on YouTube, I think you are. I know it airs live on Facebook, but check out all the other shows. Under the Influences, doing some really cool stuff. The Jam Session goes underground. Good show. We got, what's Tom Cheshire's show? Burn It Down. Yeah, Burn It Down with Tom Cheshire. Awesome show. We've got Rory Penland's. He's got Big Monster Briefing Room and Painting with Rory. A couple of good shows to watch. There's so many shows I can't even keep track of them all. I'm trying to remember all the shows, and there's like a million more I can't even think of. So make sure you come check us out. Like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Put in the comments. And again, with that trivia question, you can answer in the comments today. What was the trivia question again? Let's take a look. No. I closed it. Okay, anyhow. I asked it earlier, so you'll get the answer to that next week. And that's all I've got for you today. So, cheers. I'll see you next time.